Hey, and welcome back to the number one podcast in the world, the Cellarcast, episode 128. Baby. Should I add that to the intro? Should I add that to the list of things in the intro? A baby. Yeah, this one's coming out a little later just because oh god, dude. I haven't had time to do much else besides work on the video. In the past couple of days, it was part of it is that my sleep schedule got like mondo wrecked, and I can't remember exactly when or how it happened, but it did, and so I woke up. I fell asleep at fell asleep at like 9 a.m. this morning, and then I woke up at I don't know sometime in the late afternoon. So, I'm here now. I'm here. I'm queer. I'm not. I'm a podcaster. I feel good about getting the video out. I always love doing the thumbnails. I want to give a special shout out to myself for the thumbnails for both this most recent video, the Dawn of the Dead MMOs, as well as the original Night of the Living Dead MMOs. Those videos have funny thumbnails. Yeah. So now that that's done, it's like shit. I assembled all my Tyranids last night. I had a bunch of Tyranids from my starter set box that I hadn't put together. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch this H Bomber guy video about YouTube plagiarism. That's 4 hours long, and I'm gonna assemble my damn Tyranids. I got like 10 of them that I gotta put together. You know, it didn't take 4 hours to do. I think I started it maybe like 2 hours in. Because I was like, oh yeah, I got that to do. I can do that in the background. Yeah, I'll start. I want to start painting them sometime soon. I haven't settled on like a good color scheme because all the paints that I bought were for my Space Marine specifically. So I'm like, should I just use a different combination of colors? Or something like probably not include like the silver. Maybe I could use like the red or the green that I had, or should I go out and buy other paints? Because I'm not like a huge Tyranids fan, but I got them around. I might as well paint them. And the thing is the thing with like miniature painting is that once you buy paint, like I feel like a lot of the investment is very upfront. With like you got to buy the shit, you got to buy the models. You have to buy I had to get painting supplies and all that. But once that's all done, it's like the cost drops off dramatically, I feel like, for the hobby. Because after that, it's like, well, maybe once in a while you'll have to buy some new brushes. Maybe when they're not that expensive, you can get a huge pack of brushes for like $5-10 max. They won't be particularly good, but you can get them. And paints are also not that expensive. Modeling like miniature paints, not that expensive. And I mean, these are small things. They're small little models. They're not consuming half the container of the paint, right? They're not consuming half the bucket with one miniature. So once you get the color that you want, or like the specific, if it's a base or a layer paint or whatever in the color that you want, you've kind of just got that for a while, unless you're doing like a really big scale. If you're in 40K, you're painting like a guardsman army where you have like 200 models. You're probably gonna have to run to the store to get some refills on paint once or twice. I can see that happening. But for my purposes of just like, doing some little hobby painting where I'm not trying to build a full-scale army, this stuff's going to last me a while. It's honestly a pretty inexpensive hobby. I talked about it way back when I first got all my stuff. But yeah, pretty inexpensive hobby. Like maybe 100, under like $150 just to get started and have like a decent amount of stuff to do for a while. But yeah, anyway, I want to start those soon. I'm going to jump right into the comment review, and then we're going to talk about, I don't know, Should I talk about my week first? No, I should. I don't care. We'll talk about the comments first. Hey, our one question from last time comes from Lozy, who says, "Thank you for writing such a long comment so that I can pad out my podcast with content. That Wish movie reminds me of Kiki's Delivery Service." That's a wild take. I haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service, but it doesn't. Although everyone appreciates this one, I don't know why. I'm assuming you're talking about Kiki. I know of a little bit about the movie, but like, okay, I'm willing to. Okay, what's the argument? They have a witch, and the only thing she does is fly, nothing else. They don't have witches. Oh, you're talking about Kiki's Delivery Service. Okay, Kiki's Delivery Service has a witch. Yeah. They could have been more imaginative. Oh, that's what it was, because I said Wish was fucking boring and unimaginative. Okay, I'm seeing the through line. I wasn't on board at first. It is already the second strike of Studio Ghibli. The other was Princess Boring Doke. One more movie from them, and if I don't like it, I won't watch anything else from that studio. The thing is, I've seen 2 Ghibli movies. Only one of them is a Miyazaki movie. When I was a little kid, when I was maybe 9, on Cartoon Network, they played Spirited Away one night, and I was like, this shit is really cool. I've never seen anything, like, we just randomly tuned into it, maybe like a minute or 2 in, like right at the beginning, and none of my family knew what was going on, but we just kind of sat and watched it, and we were like, that was a really cool movie. The other movie I've seen is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is not a Miyazaki movie. I don't know who directed it, but that's a movie that like the first 10 minutes are kind of boring, and then so the plot of that movie, I liked it a lot. I went to go. That's a whole other story. It's like a whole tangent. But I went to see it with some friends at a convention. They were screening it, and it was like near the tail end of the night or of the day. Like it was around like 9 or something, and one of my friends was like really tired because we got there early. He was all tuckered out, so we sit in the front row. And so the idea of The Tale of Princess Kaguya is that it begins in like rural Japan. It's based off of this old Japanese fairy tale or folk tale, which is it's about this woodcutter, this old couple. The husband is a woodcutter, a bamboo cutter, sorry. And he cuts open a shoot of bamboo one day, and he finds this little baby inside, and it's nestled, like the whole chute is full of gold coins. And they're like, oh my god, we're rich, and we have a baby now, because they didn't have any children. And so this girl, they basically, because she grows from being a baby to a young girl really fast. Like she hits like around the age of 12, basically, really fast, like within the span of a year or so. And then her growth just stops, or she like slows down to like regular aging. And the first 10 minutes of the movie are very focused on this rural Japanese life and her quickly, growing up and making these friends and all that. And then the couple decides that they're going to take all this gold that they got from her, and they're going to go to the city, and they're going to live it big. And the reason that there's this huge contrast, I feel, the reason there's this opening, it takes a while, is because they really want to paint the contrast of the country life and the city life. And basically, like, their whole lifestyle changes once they go to the city, and it's not like a movie with like a single... It definitely feels like an old folk tale, because it's not a very traditional story structure. It's a lot of just kind of almost disconnected feeling episodes, but they all sort of like build on top of each other, and you sort of get a sense for who Kaguya is and what her personality is like. She becomes a princess just by way of being wealthy. But she isn't really like the princess life. She's a little scamp. there's all these things, like there's this whole storyline about these 4 different suitors who are trying to marry her, and it's just really enjoyable. Like, we all walked out of it. It's like a 2-hour movie. It's long. But we all walked out of it going, that was a really cool movie. I like that a lot. So I can definitely see a lot of people finding it boring or not being able to get past the opening. But if you stick with it a little bit, just to, you know, like they want you to feel the vibe for when they switch it up. I think it's pretty rewarding. That's a cool movie. I remember before Konosuba Season 2 watching the OVA of the first season. I think it was the only one. Megumin's sister appears there for the first time. If you pay attention to the opening, she appears there, but she does not appear in any chapter. That chapter is quite funny. Oh, is that Union? I don't know if I ever watched the OVA. Is that Union? Is Union her sister or her cousin or something like that? Or did she just go to school with her? Anyway, now we get to the question, sort of. Edit. I saw the Scott Pilgrim anime, and it was quite surprising. Thank goodness I didn't listen to that part of the other podcast, since after episode 1, it is a box of surprises. I ended up liking it a lot, to the point that I don't feel like starting Castlevania Nocturne, because it's a very different vibe. Yeah. Yeah, that's an accurate, very different vibe. If they repeat it, they could see it with Japanese audio. It has good casting there as well. Jolene Cujo from as Ramona, for example. Yeah, I would actually be interested in watching it with... I wouldn't mind rewatching it in Japanese, because I saw a couple clips comparing the voice cast, or just comparing like scenes, and the Japanese casting is great. They do a really good job. Anyway, will you stream the Game Awards this year too? You know what? Yes, I was going to, and this comment reminded me. I just scheduled it. I just scheduled the stream for the Game Awards. So that's going to be going live. That's on the 7th, December 7th, in just a couple days. It starts at 4:30 Pacific time, which is my time zone, and I'm going to be starting 30 minutes before. So come check it out. It's always really fun. I'd like to get Prox in on it. I haven't talked to him about it, but he's usually up for doing collabs, because it's really fun whenever I get him on, and yeah, I think it'll be fun. I always have a good time with the Game Awards. So yes, I will be streaming that. Wow, I already have to go to the bathroom. Should I have eaten dinner like 20-30 minutes before starting the podcast? Because I was like, oh man, I need energy, you know? I got to the bathroom now. All right, and we're back. I'm back. You've been here the whole time. I had an embarrassing experience the other day. So remember how on Thanksgiving I had that little anecdote about Kat's uncle asking me what I do for a living, and Kat's mom came in to save me? I should just keep her around. I should just keep Kat's mom whenever I go anywhere where I might be meeting someone, you know, over the age of 40, so that she can come in. I'll call her in like fucking Captain Commando assist, just boom, anti-air you, Captain Corridor. Is that how he says it? Anyway, so it was my uncle's birthday the other day, and we went over to his house for dinner, and he has a new girlfriend, and I liked her a lot. Like, she seemed cool, but at one point in the conversation, she asked, like, what I do for a living. You know, she has the question, and I was like, oh, is he not told you? And she goes, oh, he told me you do online video. That's how my uncle explained it to her. And I'm like, yeah. So I have a YouTube channel. And she goes, oh, and we just kind of stared at each other, like I didn't know what she meant. I'm like, for what? What do you mean? She goes, for like a company. I was like, oh no, this is not going well. Oh no. I'm like seizing up inside. I'm like, no, just for myself. I mean, it's like an independent channel, I guess you could say. She goes, oh, I thought you meant you made videos like for the company YouTube. And I was like, no, I have my own channel and I make videos that I upload to. And she goes, well, what kind of videos do you make? And I was like, I make like these like little documentaries. She goes, oh, and then I complete the sentence and I go like, yeah, about like gaming stuff. And then just, dude, there is something really magical about the moment that someone's enthusiasm is completely extinguished after you say like a single phrase. Because it went from oh to oh, and I could hear it, and it hurt. It hurt bad. It's like, oh fuck, oh I'm a loser. Fuck. No, why do I do this? Why do I do this? I was like, yeah, well, I have like like 5,700 subscribers. She goes, oh, well, that's something. I'm like, and she's like, how do you make money? And I'm like, well, you know what Patreon is? And she goes, yeah, I've heard of Patreon. And I say, yeah, well, I have like maybe a dozen or so. It's actually close to 15. I have like a dozen or so, patrons and who pay me between $1 and $10 a month. And she goes, oh, that's not enough to pay rent. I was like, oh fuck, dude, I'm in the trenches out here. I was like, yeah, well, yeah, I don't pay rent. I live at home. And then I live at home because I'm a fucking loser freeloader. Oh god, it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. You just gotta walk out of that like a just shit. Like, oh no. Oh, I'm lame. I think oftentimes about like, dude, I do not. There's so many. It's so weird that depending on context, I will sometimes if it's just me, I will think of myself as an adult, right? I think of myself, I'm 21 years old, soon to be 22. I will think of myself as being an adult. But, like, when I'm in the context, other times I feel like a complete child. I feel like a baby. And it's always when I'm around, and I figured out what it is. It's just that I'm not 40 yet. In my mind, 40 is like the age that someone becomes an adult for some reason. Maybe like 35. Let's be generous. And anything younger than that, I feel like I'm just constantly judged for not doing the right thing. Like, I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. I don't know if I am. I don't know. It's like a whole topic in and of itself. Yeah, I think about it sometimes, and I think like, okay, if I was going to college, because I'm so self-assured when I talk about it, but then like I get judged and I feel terrible. I feel like I'm being judged and I feel bad. If I was going to college, like, what are we going to college for? Like an English degree? Like what the fuck? all of the skills that I have are self-taught, and all of the things that I want to do are self-propelled. Like, I really felt that starting in high school, that all of the things that I was most passionate about and that I felt like I was the best at were not things that I was taught to do in school. It was all things that I learned myself. And the school system did not, like, I didn't see the value in it for me. I was like, I don't know what this is really going to do for me. there's also the fact that like everyone I talk to, even now, everyone I talk to, well, pretty much everyone who is in college like hates it, and everyone that's graduated in the last 5 years has said that it was a waste of time. Everyone I know is like that. And so I think like, okay, if I was in college, I'd be in my final year, my last or second to last semester, something like that. How much further along would I be in my life and doing what I want to do if I was in college compared to what I'm doing now? And I think about it, and it's like, I don't know, probably not that much, honestly. Like when I really sit down to think about it, it probably isn't the right thing for me. But so there's a twofold thing. I don't know how many people. I think most of my viewership is in the U.S. But if you're not in the U.S., we have this thing in America where we really fetishize college, and that comes out of post World War II. I'm pretty sure, at least. I'm not a sociology professor. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it comes out of World War II, because so in order to enlist, one of the benefits that you would get if you went into the army, well, if you were a man, you had to be enlisted, but one of the benefits you got was you just got free college. The government would pay for your college. So, mind you, basically every able-bodied man in the United States went to war for like a couple years, meaning that they all came back and got free college, which resulted in a huge flood of like diplomas in the marketplace, or I say marketplace, in the population, whereas before it was also it was probably more of an even mix of people go to trade schools. You would only really go to college, but before that, if it was something kind of specific, like you were going into a science or a math field, a history field, if you were trying to be a teacher. Trade schools were much more common. Just starting your own business was much more common, and teaching yourself. But the GI Bill kind of codified in American culture that everyone just kind of goes to college. This also coincided with, because World War II was a period where women became greatly empowered in the workforce, because like the Riveter Rosie, like that character, that's all because most of the young men are going to war, so you have to replace them with who's left. It's a bunch of like women of the same age, so women became a major like industrial force, and that was kind of like by necessity. Women entered the workplace in a lot more industries than they would have been able to before. So it also became more common for women to strive for higher education. And then you combine that with the baby boom that followed, and you have a whole generation of people who are raised by other people, by parents who are like, oh yeah, college is like just the regular thing. That's just like the structure of your life. Despite the fact that and then obviously the baby boomer generation was born into a period of unusually great wealth, where they and then went on to create a lot of you have a huge generation of people who grew up in a kind of specific way, in a very specific circumstance. So obviously that leaves a large cultural imprint on how we think about things. So college is just like, it's just the thing. And there are a lot of people who are like, I feel like around millennials it started to change, because millennials went through like a big recession. Millennials now have been through 2 big recessions. I think it's more so, it'll be even stronger with you'll see the sentiment rise even more with the Zoomers like me, because I have also lived through 2 recessions now. Isn't that fucking cool? But still, I think it lingers on in like the Gen X mindset, which are people like my parents' generation. People who are around 40 to 50 years old right now. 40s through 50s. So like when you talk to them, like the structure, like the commonly accepted understanding of what happens is that you go through the schooling system, you go to college, you get a degree, and then that degree helps you find a job. And well, I've talked to people, who have graduated recently who didn't get like humanities degrees, they're not getting English degrees like I would have gotten. They're getting things like, STEM degrees or computer science type degrees, not specifically computer science. And they're in like developed areas with a lot of industry and industry that would pertain to their degree, and they just cannot find a fucking job for the life of them. So I'm like, so there's this weird clash between things that I understand that make sense from my perspective of people I've talked to, things that I've thought over for myself. And then it just hits this wall when you talk to someone who's of a certain age. And it's not all of them, right? But it does, like, you're rolling the dice. It feels like a 50-50 sometimes, where as soon as you tell someone you're not going through the traditional route, it's like, they're like, oh, so you're like a fucking loser who's wasting your life, and you're pretending, like you're putting off being an adult. You're putting off being an adult is always the vibe that I get from it. And I think mostly that's like, I think one of the things that being in college is that it gives people something that you can say that you're doing, right? You're like, well, I'm working towards my degree. And that's like a quantifiable thing that people can latch onto, to show that you're like not a loser who's wasting your life, who's wasting your youth. It kind of reminds me of like when the teacher would be walking around and you were like fucking around on your laptop or something, and then you like tab over to the actual assignment and you work on it just long enough that they can see that you're working on it, and then they walk away, and then you go back to like browsing Reddit or something. That's what I did in high school. Yeah, I don't mean to like throw my fucking uncle's new girlfriend under the bus. It's just like I don't know. It's just a thing that I have to deal with. It's the lamest thing in the world until you're successful. And then it makes money? Like, it doesn't matter. It's just so many people. It doesn't matter, like, does it make you happy? Do you feel like you're producing something valuable? Like, it doesn't matter. It's, well, are you making money? Does it produce value for the economy? No, then you should be executed. You should be gassed. Oh, neoliberalism was a disease. Fuck Reagan. Fuck you, Margaret Thatcher. Anyway, speaking of waste of fucking time, we're gonna talk about the Game Awards nominees. That's right, baby. I don't know. I'll probably go over this. I'll glance over this when I do the stream itself. But the nominees came out a while ago. I did my voting for the things that I know of. Excuse me. Oh, I didn't vote. Yeah, so a lot of them I did not vote for, because you guys know me. See, the funny thing is, I play so many games, right? I play such a wide variety of games. I don't play anything that's new. I barely play anything that's new. I bought like 2 new games this year. It was like the System Shock remake, which is nowhere on this nominee list, even though I thought it was great. And Street Fighter 6. What did I actually buy this year that's new, that came out this year? Like nothing. Literally nothing. I play 2 new games a year. Isn't that something? Well, so let's talk about these nominees. Game of the year. I didn't play any of these. I heard Resident Evil 4 Remake was good. I heard all these games were good, you know? I just didn't play them, so I didn't vote. Let's see, what's the next one? Best Game Direction. It's like the exact same picks. I didn't vote. Best Narrative. They just swapped out one for Final Fantasy 16. I didn't vote on any of these. I wanted to play 16. It's just not an exclusive. It's still exclusive, I'm pretty sure. Is it out on Steam yet? No, I feel like it came out too soon. It was like a 6-month exclusivity period. Best Art Direction. I don't know anything about Alan Wake 2. Hi-Fi Rush looked cool. Kat wanted to play that one a lot. It's not on Switch. Unfortunately, it feels like it should be on Switch. Lies of P looked cool. I don't know. I barely watched any footage of it. Best Score in Music. Wow, it's like the same 5 games. Let's see. Best Audio Design. No one knows what the fuck that means. Best Performance. This one should probably... I feel like this is going to go to Idris Elba because it just feels like, of course... Maybe Ben Starr for Final Fantasy 16. But I feel like Idris Elba is the really obvious one. Innovation in accessibility. I'm actually not sure how most of these... Okay, Forza gets the nomination in this category every single year, and I don't know what they do. I don't know what the deal is with Forza, of why they are so specifically innovative. Hi-Fi Rush, okay, I haven't played it, but I do know what they're talking about. Hi-Fi Rush, so it's like a character action game that's based around music, but it's designed in such a way where you can play it with the sound off and still be able to, you know, play the game. Like you can hit things on beat and all that. It's like a combination rhythm action game. But that's because all of the animations and like every part of the screen, there's always something on screen that is bouncing to the rhythm. So you can play it even if you're completely deaf, which is actually super cool. Like that's a really, for a game that is so based around music, and also for people who don't have a very good ear for music, like some people just can't get into rhythm, right? They just can't get a rhythm. But you can, if you pay attention to the visual cues, I think that could legitimately be a different way of being able to like learn the game. So that's actually really cool. I don't know about Spider-Man 2 or Diablo 4. I don't really know what MK1 has. I know Street Fighter 6 introduced a ton of accessibility options. They have like a sound cue that plays depending on how close you are to the opponent. Like the pitch changes and the speed changes. It has sounds for things like cross-ups. Like you can... It's the most blind-friendly Street Fighter game. Just game in general that I've seen in a while. Games for Impact. I haven't heard any of these except for the scaly dinosaur high school game. Best ongoing. This one's so... Okay. Most of these make sense to me. Most of these are just, they're online games that receive continuous updates, content updates. Apex Legends, FF14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and then Cyberpunk. Why is Cyberpunk here? Like, I get that they just had a whole expansion, but I don't know. I feel like an expansion should be counted as like a separate... And they marketed it as an expansion. I feel like that should be counted as like a separate game. It just feels really different from any of these other games. Like, yeah, Vampire Survivors also got a couple big DLC updates this year. Would I consider that an ongoing game? I guess technically, but not. It feels weird to put it in a category with these other games. Like, I can see the argument. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's weird. I would toss the vote to 14 just because I like 14. Best community support. No Man's Sky is going to win this every single year, or it's going to get nominated every single year because of that Internet Historian video. It feels like it's been too, like, it feels like it's just been, I don't know, man. Why is it still getting nominated? Again, I would toss this to 14 because that's the only one I know of. Baldur's Gate is a weird one until you remember that it's been in early access for like 2 years. So that's something. And Cyberpunk, community support? That's a funny way of putting it. More like, hey, so they should have a category, best anime adaptation that made everyone want to come back to the game after it got 1,000 bug fix patches. Best independent game. I haven't played any of these. This inspired an entire discussion online about what counts as an independent game, because Dave the Diver technically does have a big publisher. It just looks like an indie game. I think that the best descriptor of an indie game should be something that's... I feel like the most practical application for it is a small budget game. I think, like, something being... Like, I get... Okay. I get that, like, okay, we have these terms, we have AAA, we got AA, and then anything below that we kind of just consider being indie. But sometimes big publishers can put out... Excuse me. Sometimes big publishers can put out small budget games that are not, they don't have huge studios behind them. They're just, they're small projects. Like, what would you consider, like, the death of Sonic the Hedgehog? It's made by Sega. What kind of game? How would you categorize that? It's definitely not AAA. It's not really AA. What is it? I think indie... I think it'd probably be best if we just came up with, like, a new term. Single A. Just, single A games. A small budget game. I mean, follow the naming scheme, right? A single A game. And then indie can be a different descriptor specifically for something that does not have a traditional publisher. That makes the most sense to me. That's my take on it. Because when people say indie, they usually just mean small budget because we don't have a better word for it. It used to be more accurate because having a small budget usually meant that you were indie, but not necessarily anymore. Best debut indie game. Okay, feels very similar, but no, it's for specific people whose first games were this, you know what I mean, debut indie. I also have not played any of these. That's right, I never played Pizza Tower. Best mobile game. I don't know, man. I haven't played any. Best VR AR. I like that they used for Resident Evil Village VR. They used a still of Lady Dimitrescu towering over the player in first person. That feels intentional. Best action game. Didn't play any of these. I should get around to Armored Core 6 sometime. Excuse me. Best action adventure. Didn't play any of these. Best RPG. I didn't play any of these. Best fighting. If this does not go to Street Fighter 6, that's fucking insane. That is messed up. I would be legitimately really fucking pissed. Just as like a come on, guys. Okay, so here's the thing. I appreciate that 3 of the 5 nominees are small budget or indie games. You got Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, God of Rock, Pocket Bravery. That's really cool to at least put the spotlight on them. The indie fighting game scene, you get some really cool shit out of there. You get some great stuff out of there. And those titles deserve to have a light shown on them. But everyone knows this is going to either MK1 or SF6. And MK1 is a game that, at least visually to me, it's the best it's the most and like fun and a Mortal Kombat game has looked since like MK9, I guess, to me. But no, dude, like you can't compete. You can't tell me that it was a better package game than 6. 6 is like the new gold standard. Like, no. It should be a shoo-in. And if MK1 win, that would be crazy. Best family. I didn't play any of these. Pikmin 4 has a little dog character that I think Kat likes, so I guess that one could win. What's next? Best sim/strategy. Haven't played any of these. Best sports and racing. I think F1 23 is a lot better than Forza Motorsport or sports and racing. But 4 of them are racing games, and only one of them is... Oh, that's what they call FIFA now. Right, it's FC, right? Yeah, it's EA Sports FC 24. Because they lost the rights to the FIFA brand name. I remember that. That was a while ago. That's weird. Were there no other sports games that came out? Dude, I feel like sports games are in a dire place because of shitty monopolies. I find it funny that it feels like every single year in this category, there's always a Hot Wheels game. And I find that kind of charming. Not that I think they're bad. Just that that's funny. Best multiplayer. I've only played SF6 of these. It feels really weird to compare a game like SF6 to Baldur's Gate 3 or Diablo 4 or Mario Wonder, where one is a PvP game and the others are co-op. It feels like a real apples to oranges situation, and I feel like the choices for this category are a little... Like, if it was best multiplayer co-op and best competitive multiplayer, that would be two different things, but yeah, I would rather this category got split up. Because Party Animals is also here, and that's like a co-op. That's a competitive game. It's like a competitive party game. The game always reminds me of two things: Gang Beasts, and the picture that they've picked for it of this like alligator. It looks like an NFT. It looks like an NFT collection thing. Best adaptation. I have seen 2 of the things here: Castlevania Nocturne and the Mario movie. I didn't watch From Gamer to Racist. I didn't watch The Last of Us, and I didn't watch Twisted Metal. Although I heard Last of Us, the show, was good. I heard the Twisted Metal show was good. I heard From Gamer to Racist. I didn't actually hear anything about that besides that debacle on the movie page. Hey, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Gran Turismo From Gamer to Racist. So the official... So the poster for Gran Turismo... The poster for Gran Turismo, it says From Gamer to Racer, and someone edited it to say From Gamer to Racist. And somehow that was the poster that went up on the official Roku app. And it was up there for like 3 days. It's so fucking funny. From Gamer to Race. I would like go to sleep. Before I go to sleep, I'd check it. Yep, it's still there. I woke up, it's still there. Holy shit, it was there for like at least 2 days. Maybe 3. It was like 2.5 days before it got changed. What would I say is the better between the ones I've seen? I'm assuming Last of Us is going to win. Of the two that I've seen, I guess I would cast my vote to Castlevania. Would I? I don't know. I wasn't super into either. I wasn't super into either that or the Mario movie. Most anticipated game. This is such a stupid category. This is like, okay, I get that the Game Awards are a glorified commercial, but like, do you have to be so blatant about it? I'm assuming it's going to be FF7 Rebirth. Hades 2 is a good pick. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is a good pick. Star Wars Outlaws, I don't know what that is. And the Tekken 8. I'm excited for Tekken 8. Don't know if I'll buy it because it doesn't have rollback, but I'll have fun watching it, I guess. And yeah, either like 7 Rebirth or Infinite Wealth are probably going to get this one. It's just... I don't know, those make the most sense to me. Best marketing. Didn't they announce Hades 2 at the Game Awards last year? Content creator of the year. I don't know who most of these people are. I know I'd like for Iron Mouse to win. She's up for a nomination. I think it would just be nice if she won. I don't know if anyone who listens to me knows who Iron Mouse is. She's a VTuber. She's, her deal, it's weird to say her deal. It's like, cause she's like a real person, but, she started VTubing. She has this like immune deficiency, like this autoimmune deficiency where she's been like bedridden for most of her life. And so she VTubes for fun. And now it's her job, and she's just, I don't know, she's really funny. She's funny, and she's just like really likable. She's really easy to root for. And she's done a lot of crossovers with non-VTuber-y kind of people. And I don't know, she's cool. I think it would be nice. It would be nice if she won. It would be a feel-good thing. People Make Games is also a great channel. They do some great like investigative journalism, reporting kind of stuff. I like them. I don't know who. I think Quackity is a Minecraft guy. I don't know. I think he's a Minecraft person. Spreen, I don't fucking know who that guy is. Cypher PK, I think that's like a Counter-Strike guy. Let's look up these people. Let's look up who Spreen is. Oh, he's Argentinian. Maybe that might be why I've never heard of him. So what does he do? He's a YouTube channel. Does he just, let's see, Five Nights at Freddy's? What was that? Does he make gaming? Minecraft? There's a Minecraft video. God, he gets millions of views. Jesus, this is what happens whenever someone, there's so many people who aren't like English speaking YouTubers, and they just fly under my radar. And you just look at their videos and they have like 1 million views on everything. Cypher PK, that's always a Fortnite guy. Okay. Best esports game. So the funny thing about best esports game is that they kind of just excuse me. They pick the same, it's always 5 games, but they keep the same 4 games every year and then just swap out like the wild card pick. So it's always League of Legends, Dota 2, Valorant, Counter-Strike 2. And now the wild card pick is PUBG Mobile. Sure, the fucking Blood thinks he's on the team. Jesus. Yeah, is it funny? You have Riot MOBA, Valve MOBA, Riot Counter-Strike, Valve Counter-Strike, and then PUBG Mobile in there for whatever. Isn't it popular in China? I think. Who's gonna win this? Obviously, I think it would have been cool to see Street Fighter 6 on the nominees, but that's because I'm me. And it's had like a pretty huge year. I mean, it's having the biggest goddamn. Maybe they'll do it next year, you know, because that's when Capcom Cup is gonna throw down. It's gonna have the biggest prize pool of any fighting game tournament ever, which is kind of feels like a noteworthy thing. Who's gonna get this? Probably like fucking Dota 2. I don't know, man. It's always a toss-up. I don't care about most of these games. I don't care about any of these games. Best esports athlete. I could not believe Arslan Ash was not on here. I could not believe League of Legends, CSGO, Valorant, Call of Duty, League of Legends, Apex Legends. I couldn't believe Arslan Ash. That feels like such a shoo-in for at least a nomination. At least a nomination. I mean, the story is so good. He came out of this country that no one ever considered as being a real viable region for any game, much less something like Tekken. And then he's just like the fucking best player in the world, and he's the first person to win 4 Evos for Tekken. Like the guy, and he won his 4th this year. Like the guy's a monster. The guy's crazy. And I don't know who Faker is, of course. I think he won Evo this year. Not Evo, fuck me. He won League of Legends Worlds. So there's that. Maybe he'll get it, I don't know. It's like his 5th Worlds win or something. Best esports team. Who are the fucking gay men gladiators? Who are the gay men gladiators? Evil penises? What? Yeah, I don't care about that. Best coach, best esports coach. I don't know. There's a guy in here named Remy Egzikwonyam. You think I'm making that up? No, his fucking handle is XTQZZZ. His last name is Kwonyam. Like the dude already had an unpronounceable name, and he decided to come up with another one. Like. He's like, yeah, my name is Reddy Kwonyam, and do you have like a nickname? He's like, yeah, good going. Best esports event. I fucking obviously gave that to Evo. That's all the categories, baby. So what do I think about the categories this year? Well, it's kind of like most years where I don't really care about most of the games that came out. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't care about them. And I am ambivalent to the winners. I think I've said it for a while that the Game Awards, it's probably a good thing that it's probably honestly a good thing that it's just like 50% or more a marketing event. Because one of the biggest, like, would I even watch it if it didn't have a bunch of trailers and shit? Maybe not, but you add in that magical little E3 element of people being awkward and weird, and maybe you'll see something that you think is going to be cool. And, I think it's all worth it sometimes. The enjoyment of a Game Awards is it correlates directly to how much you care about the games that get trailers. Like, that's it. Like, I don't give a fuck about the winners of the awards or all that. I'm sure it's cool for the winners. And there's things that just, like, on principle, I think should go to one game or another. But I'm not like, I don't know, man. It's fun to care about it. It's fun to care about other people's opinions. You know that? No one ever talks about how fun it is to care about other people's opinions. Let's see. Yeah, hey. Let's talk about Killer Instinct. So, Killer Instinct, the reboot, the 2013 reboot of the classic Rareware fighting game. 3 or so years, feels like maybe more than that, after it ended support, has gotten a new patch, the Anniversary Edition patch, to coincide with the series' or the game's 10-year anniversary. Now, KI is a game that I had always heard about. I never really got too into it. I own it. I never got too into it. But this patch was like, maybe I'll pay some more attention to KI. And so I went back and I revisited it. And yeah, that game is really cool. It's really fun. And I've been putting some time in online, and I like it a lot. So if you don't know anything about Killer Instinct, so first off, I should say that the big thing that this Anniversary Edition does is it kind of oh, that was a good stretch. It completely redoes the game's monetization model. So the way that it worked is that when it launched on consoles, you had this, or I believe the Windows Store, you had it was free to play with a rotating roster of characters. So like one character would be available every 2 weeks. And then I think you could buy, then you could just pay money to get the whole game or something, or individual characters if you wanted for cheaper. That kind of thing. When it launched on Steam, it launched as like the definitive edition, and it was just like the $30 package, or however expensive it was, with everything included. Now they've redone it so that it's like the console, the original like free to play model. Something similar to something you'd see in like a MOBA or most other free to play games. So now there's like a rotating like free character that rotates every week instead of 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is kind of a while, to be honest. And then you can just buy the whole game if you want. If you already own the game, it gets upgraded to Anniversary Edition, no problem. And it comes with a balance patch. Now, the balance patch is probably not that interesting if you haven't played the game before. As I understand it, it is mostly geared towards the most hardcore of players. It seemed like it was focused more on bringing the top tiers down a little bit and buffing some of the lower tiers or some of the struggle characters up a little more, just so that the game it's not a big shake-up, because that's not the intent, because and a lot of the changes were a little conservative because they said themselves that they didn't have a lot of time to do it, and this is going to be the last patch for the game, like probably ever, most likely ever. So you don't want to introduce a complete overhaul where you rebalance every character massively and then end up accidentally completely fucking over the game, and then that's the last patch. Sorry, bye, see ya. So most of the changes are pretty minor and things that only like hardcore players will probably notice. Some things are a little more noticeable, like changing up or expanding the way that certain characters' mechanics work, while like changing them in other ways to compensate. It's stuff like that. I can say that you probably don't have to worry about it if you're just jumping into the game brand new, because a lot of characters didn't even get changes. I feel like half the roster didn't even get changed. So here's what's cool about KI. Like, this is what's actually sick. Let's get to the pitch for what KI is. So Killer Instinct has a combo system that is really fucking cool, and it's like no other fighting game. So essentially the way that the KI combo system works is that you hit someone with an attack, right? If you hit them with a special move, like, canceling into it or something, if you combo into a special move, you can do it. You can just do the special raw, it doesn't matter. Special moves are considered openers. And as soon as you hit them with an opener, you go into a so-called combo sequence, where there's now like new rules, okay? So in the combo sequence, you do the opener, and then you hit one of your, it's a 6-button game, 3 punches, 3 kicks. You hit one of your attack buttons, light, medium, or heavy, and your character will start doing what's called an auto double. The auto double is just like a 1-2 hit that changes depending on the strength of the button you pressed. And then after you do the auto double, this is just the shortest combo sequence you could do. you do another special move, usually like the heavy version of the special, and that's called the Ender. That's the Ender. That's it. Opener, auto double, Ender. If you the combos do the most damage if you get to the Ender. So while you're hitting them, they have you are doing some damage to their actual life bar, but most of the damage you're dealing is actually to this kind of like bar of flashing white health. This like flashing white health, which represents potential damage. And you can only cash in that potential damage if you hit them with the Ender. So you're comboing them with the goal of getting to the Ender. Here's the catch, is that the entire time they're being comboed, let's say that you are hitting them with like your medium auto double. You hit like medium punch. So you're doing your medium auto double. If during that part of the combo, they hit both of their medium buttons, they can do an input and combo break you. So if they can see, or they guess, or they react, or whatever, if they call that you're doing a medium auto double, you're doing a medium attack, they can break it by hitting their own mediums. If they see that you're doing heavies, they can hit their heavies. If they see that you're doing lights, they can hit their own lights and break the combo, which means that you don't get to the Ender, which means that you lose out on the damage you were like building up to. That's like the simplest form of the combo. Essentially, you can picture KI as being designed around a perfectly even risk-reward curve. So you can start stepping up the complexity of your combo if you want to go for more damage, right? So you can go from opener, auto double, to another special move which will, if it's like the light or the medium, usually if it's the light or the medium, it'll be the so-called linker, which is just, okay, this is after the linker, then you can go straight into an Ender again, or you can go into another auto double. So you can go some kind of like first opening hit into the opener special move, into the auto double, into the linker, into another auto double, into the Ender. And you're like, wow, that can deal a lot of damage, but everything between the opener and the Ender is breakable. So the more segments you add to your combo, the more risk you run of your opponent just guessing right. You have if you just hit something randomly, you technically have a 1 in 3 chance of being correct. Now you add on to this the fact that heavy auto doubles, so heavy auto doubles will do more damage, but they're slower, meaning that they're easier to break. Light auto doubles will deal less damage, but they're really fast, so they're harder to react to and break. Mediums are, obviously in between. So you see the natural risk reward curve again. You can break linkers as well if you call which strength special move they're using. Excuse me. You have things called shadow moves, which use they're just like EX specials. They just use a bar of your so-called shadow meter, which is your like resource. And you can do fucking opener, auto double, linker, auto double, shadow, shadow linker, auto double, Ender, and just get a fuck ton of damage. But you're adding even more breakable points into your combo. Shadow moves have to be broken by essentially hitting like any, just hit like your lights or your mediums or your heavies, like the same kind of input. It's not strength dependent, but you have to hit them on beat. You have to basically, it's like parry timing. You essentially have to parry the hits to break out of a shadow linker. So the game has this really interesting, really intuitive risk-reward curve. The way that things combo together is very... If you're used to games like anime games where things just kind of chain one into the next, KI uses a very, very similar system. You don't get really like lights to mediums to heavies, but you do get like pretty much every normal is special cancelable and stuff like that. So you kind of like space around with your normals. You fish for a hit, and then you go into your opener and your combo sequence. You make them guess. You try to mix them up. Oh, did I mention? You can counter someone's combo breaker. You can do a counter breaker. So like, if they hit their buttons to counter you, you can hit your buttons too to counter them back. So you can call out their call out, and then they're locked out. So if you, I didn't mention, if you you can't just spam combo breakers and as soon as you get hit, because if you guess wrong, then you're in a lockout state. You cannot break for like like 5 seconds or something. You're on a preset timer. So then you're just like guaranteed to eat the combo, right? Assuming they don't drop it. It's a really fun fucking game, and it's got some really cool character designs, like visually as well as gameplay wise. So KI was always kind of based. It was always kind of based on, how would I describe it? Like pulp and like genre film, like media stuff. So you had characters who, you know, in the original game, you always had like Spinal. He's like a Jason in the Argonauts skeleton warrior, but he's a skeleton pirate with a cutlass. Yarr. There's a werewolf. There's a mummy. There's a vampire lady who was supposed to use blood in her attacks, but that would have bumped the age rating up to an M. So she just uses like mercury. She has like mercury blood, which is actually kind of cooler. There's a robot guy named Fulgore, and he shoots a big laser out of his chest. There's like a regular boxer guy. There's like weird little characters like there's a big golem dude. He's cool. Aganos. There's who else is on the roster? After myself. Oh, there's a fire guy. There's like an ice alien. And then there's just like normal humans, like kung fu action lady, jungle Amazon sorta lady. Oh, Rash from Battletoads. Did I mention that? Rash from Battletoads is in the game. As well as the Arbiter from Halo, and he has like a gun and stuff, and like this whole bullet system and all that, and like he's a resource character, and he can shoot his gun, and he has the sword and all that. It has General Ram, or Rom, I don't know how he's pronounced, from Gears of War. Yeah, so they went... They got the Rareware reference with Rash, and then like the Microsoft references with the Arbiter and General Ram, the Halo and Gears of War. Yeah, and there's a lot of just really cool. Oh, there's a dinosaur. There's like a cybernetic dinosaur velociraptor. One of the fan favorite characters who was new, introduced in this reboot, was Hisako, and she's like she's like a Japanese poltergeist type character. She's like a Japanese zombie woman. She's like a spurned vengeful spirit, and she looks super cool. She has this like broken, bent up body, and she has this big spear which she leans on for support, and she's super slow when she walks around, but her dash, she like skitters across the floor really fast, like a horror movie, like a horror movie monster, like a spider. She has these moves where she like possesses you and then bursts out of your body. She's super cool. It's got a great cast of characters. One of the the first, okay, speaking of, so the first character, they said that the first character that was going to be on the free rotation was Idol. Now, Idol is a weird character to have be free on like your first week of the patch. So I would expect maybe like a more standard character like Jago or Orchid or something like that. Saberwolf. No, Idol is weird. He's weird, but he's a really cool character. Idol he's a two-head. So the idea is he's a two-headed Cyclops. He's a boss character. I'm pretty sure he was the final boss of KI Gold, which was the second game back on the N64, back in the 90s. So Idol he's a two-headed Cyclops with a club, or it's sometimes a wand. That's the thing, is that he's a stance character, but he doesn't get to control what stance he's in at will. So one of the heads is like a crazy powerful zoning character, the mage head. And when they have it, like this big club they use becomes like a staff. Like they use it like a staff and they hold it up and like lightning bolts shoot out of it. He can fill up the entire screen with projectiles. He can throw a whole like carpet of lightning on the ground and all that. Really powerful zoning. The other head is the warrior head, and the warrior head is this crazy rush down. He can just fucking, like, he's huge. He's like twice as big as every other character, and he can just swing his club from, it covers like half the screen, and it's like an approach option, and he can just rush you the hell down. And he has a command grab to mix you up. So the way that, when I say that he can't control which stance he's in, one of the heads is always asleep. And so essentially the way that it works is that every time you're in the recovery of a move, there's a chance that the other head will wake up and take over. So every time you return to a neutral state, so like after you use a special move, after you use like a normal move, something like that, there's a chance that you could switch over. And the more times that you don't switch over when you have the chance to, the greater the chance gets that you'll swap. He can control it slightly by, he has a move where he just punches the other head and it does a little bit of damage to himself, but it like greatly increases the odds of switching heads. Oh, and then by doing specific actions, like I think in the warrior mode, it's using his command grab, and then in the mage mode, it's hitting them. The mage mode has this like teleport move, and if you hit the opponent with that, it does it. They both have these moves where if you hit the opponent, it'll fill up he has this unique resource. It's like this stock. There's a bar. It's like a 3-segmented bar for each head. So each one has 3, and they're essentially these bars that allow him to empower each head to empower the move. But okay, so the way that it works is using the mage. When you hit them with the teleport thing as the mage, it adds a bar to the warrior mode. And when you hit the command grab in warrior mode, it adds a bar to the mage one. So you have to, like, both heads have to cooperate by doing, you can't just be good at one, because by doing well with one of the modes, one of the stances, you empower the other one. So the warrior head can use his, he can basically spend his little special pips to dash cancel like any single move he has, which is so he has these absolutely crazy pressure sequences where he can just keep you blocking and keep mixing you up over and over and over again. And then the mage essentially gets to spend his special pips to empower his special moves. So he has this move where he shoots lightning out, and he can shoot it in like 3 different angles. And if you use the pip, it shoots it at all 3 angles, and it basically covers the entire screen, and shrouds him in a cage of electricity. He summons, he does a move where he summons a meteorite. If you empower it, he sends like 3 down with it. 3 more down. Stuff like that. Like, really cool character, but kind of tricky. Now, by the time this goes out, I mean, it's already on a different... I don't know who the free character is right now. But yeah, lots of just really cool character designs. They have a Conan the Barbarian. They have there's a robot lady. The character that I gravitated towards, weirdly enough, if you know this game, this is probably a weird thing to say, I really gravitated towards Shin Hisako. So, they did 3 seasons of DLC, right? They did 3 seasons of support. And after the 3rd one, they had like a weird half season where they added 3 more characters. And all of those characters are sort of spins or alternate versions of existing characters. Not clones, like completely unique characters with new movesets, new models, new animations, like the whole shebang. But they're all like related to existing characters in some sort of way. So there was like, they had the robot guy, Fulgore. Well, now here's like the prototype version, Kilgore, and Kilgore has a completely different moveset and like chain gun arms. There's Thunder, who's like the Native American Last of the Mohicans big grappler character, who's fucking crazy. That's a crazy design for a character too. Like, I mean, gameplay wise, like he is nuts. He is nutty. Rush down grappler with big damage. Well, here's his like long lost brother, I think, Eagle, who's like a zoner with a robot eagle that he calls in. And Hisako got a version of her that I think is supposed to be like her after she got her revenge or something, and she's Shin Hisako. So instead of carrying a spear, she carries a sword. And Shin Hisako is, I feel like, a really standard, straightforward character in every way except for one. And that one way is a big deal breaker for most people. So KI is a game that gravitates a lot more towards offense and aggression. Excuse me. And Shin Hisako, so she is like one of the best backdashes in the game. Like, really fast, covers a lot of distance, a lot of invulnerability on it. Her forward dash teleports her up and forward. It's really weird. It's a really weird, unique forward dash. It's practically like she just jumps forward, but just instantly. And that really mixes a lot of people up when they try to pick her up. But funny enough, and it might be because I have so much time playing Slayer, another character with a janky or kind of weird feeling teleport dash. His is just grounded, but I've heard people talk about Slayer as like, they're going around the cast and they can play, they feel comfortable on a couple characters, and then they try Slayer and they're like, dude, he's so weird and slow. The fun thing with Slayer is that his regular movement options, just going by that, he's the slowest character in the game, but actually he's the most mobile because he just moves around the screen with his specials. But then, like, all of his specials are usually, like, they come with attacks or some kind of vulnerability. So you have to factor in attacking into all of your movement. You can't just move without attacking. Like, he's in it really, like, a really fun, one of the reasons I find him really fun. So Shin Hisako was not too big of a stretch for me. And once you get around that, I thought she was really fun and intuitive, and I thought she feels really good to play. And she's a straightforward character. She has a little Rekka sequence where she just hits a couple times with her sword. She has a very anime cross-up attack where she teleports behind you and there's like a slash in the air, and after she appears behind you, like the slash, like it happens, like a BAM! She has a little move where she just does a big overhead swing. And then she has a DP, and she's got one of the best DPs in the game, which is cool. And then she has this little spirit this little spirit orb that she can send out, and then she can hit it with her sword and it turns into a projectile. And she's like not a very complicated character, but she has these crazy little mix-up opportunities. Like she can hit her. Okay, so every character has an instinct. That's the comeback factor in this game. If you take enough damage, your instinct bar fills up and you can pop it for about 15 seconds for every character. And it basically gives them a unique character-specific buff. So for Shin Hisako, what she does is she summons these hands that like come out of the ground and they will continuously follow the opponent. Like these hands that are just like reaching up from hell to drag the opponent down. And this like from this puddle. And they will continuously track towards the opponent as long as it's active for the whole 15-second duration. And if the opponent is ever standing on the puddle in a neutral state, they'll get pulled down to hell and take like 20% damage or more. That's actually how I won my first game online. I was playing against someone and it was getting kind of close, and I actually accidentally popped Instinct. And then I didn't even really know what it did. I just suddenly like saw this animation start up where they just start getting pulled down to hell, and then I won. I'm like, all right, cool, nice. So what you can do these nasty setups where you knock someone down, pop Instinct, and the only way to avoid Instinct is either you have to have like an invincible reversal or something like that, some kind of reversal to get you off the ground, or you have to jump. Or I guess backdash? So basically the opponent can't just wake up and block. Like they have to take an action to avoid the hands. So you can put them in some really nasty, despicable ass situations that are really cool and fun. She has these other mix-ups or setups where you can knock them down, put down the orb, and then any attack that uses her sword will activate. It will turn the orb into a projectile. So you can put down the orb and then use her like cross-up slash thing, and you'll cross them up, and then they'll have to block, and then they'll also just be having to block a projectile afterwards or around the same time. It's like really ambiguous. It's fun. Her Rekka, like any part of the Rekka can be canceled into a different special move. So you can go like, because she has that cross up and then she has her overhead sword swing special. So you can go like one hit of the Rekka and then into the cross up or into the overhead. And it's really fun just doing pressure with her. She gets kind of messed up by zoning, but I mean, I don't know. I'm used to playing characters who get messed up by zoning. Lots of cool characters, really cool combo system. There are a few ways that I'll say in which it's antiquated, and that mostly has to do with it being from 2013. So the biggest one would have to be there's no queuing for online from training mode, which is a bummer. You do just have to wait on a screen. You can't practice setups or combos or anything while you're waiting to get matched up, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's just how the game is. There's also no crossplay with the console versions of the game, which is also a bummer, and apparently that's just a part of the game that has resided since like the launch, because it was made for games for like the Windows Store. I almost said games for Windows Live. It was made for like the Windows Store. So the way that it communicates information to other, the matchmaking servers for other consoles, other platforms, it's just coded in this way that like it's not going to change. So that's a bummer. But I would highly, highly recommend checking out KI. I've mainly talked about like the gameplay stuff and what's cool about it. And the thing is that I don't even have to really sell you on more because it's free. But to talk about the single player stuff, it does have some pretty cool single player modes. It's got this thing called Shadow Lords, which is like a weird, in like XCOM or something, where you have this campaign where there's gonna be like you have like a limited, maybe not XCOM. What did that? Mechanicus, 40K Mechanicus, where you're on basically a time limit for, you're gonna go through so many gameplay sequences. In that case, an RTS thing here, a fighting game match. Not RTS, like a strategy game level mission. And then after however much time has passed, something big happens. Either you got to get off the planet or something. Here, it's a similar thing where Gargos is coming. Gargos, who's like the gargoyle boss guy of this game. He has some really cool moves with like punching you through portals and stuff, and so he can like punch you from across the screen. He can summon little goober minions and stuff. He's a cool, neat character that people hate playing against. Gargos is coming in however long, and you have to assemble characters. You have to assemble characters to fight against him. And there's like a bunch of items you can pick up, and it's got a sort of I don't know, like I guess I would describe it as like a not procedurally, but there's like a bunch of different like mission types that you can go on. You can find items, and I haven't put too much time into it, but it's cool, and it also gives you characters for free. If you complete the tutorial, it gives you Jago, and I think if you get halfway through, you get Orchid. So that's neat. So you will just get some for free. And then I'm pretty sure I should have double checked before I started this. I'm bad. But I'm pretty sure that like the characters themselves can be purchased with in-game currency. I think so. It's totally worth checking out. It's got some actual pretty cool single player content. It's got really cool characters. It's got a very unique combo system that's really fun. Like, one of the things that I think is most appealing to it about, namely people who, maybe don't consider themselves very good at fighting games, is that when you get hit, you don't have to just watch a cutscene. Like, that's what a lot of people complain about, right? I get hit and I just watch my character get comboed over and over and over again. And that's all that happens because, my defense is bad and I'm so overwhelmed by the game and I feel like I never get to play. With Killer Instinct, you're always playing. You are always playing the game. You're always playing you always have the opportunity to do something unless you, get locked out. Unless you get locked out. But I feel like that's a risk reward you can take. You can handle that. You can get good at combo breaking, and you just might not have to. You can minimize a lot of your opponent's offense. At which point, the mind games have to become trickier about faking people out. There's also, I haven't even mentioned, there is also a lot. So when you try to attempt a combo breaker, you can also just get you can also get locked out by just having bad timing. So there is a period in between the sequences of like a combo, like the segments of it, where you're not technically like being attacked, and if you try to break during that point, then you get locked out just for bad timing. And you can, if you hit someone with an opener or after a linker, like if the point in the combo where you would go into an auto double, you can actually like hold off a little bit and not immediately do an auto double. Like if you just delay your timing a little bit, you can do what's called a manual, which is essentially a manual link. It's not just an automatic combo sequence. And that can like fuck up someone's timing on the breaker. I should also mention, this game is just really easy to kind of face roll with. Like, you probably won't get super far, but if you want to, you can jump in and with if you can execute basic fighting game motions, You can get a hit and then do a special move and then mash some buttons and then do another special move like the heavy version. And with the bare minimum of conscious effort, you can get like a 20% combo or something like that. Just like at least. And combo enders, it's such a cool game. Like all the combo enders have different, for a character, the different ways that you can end your combo. There's different reasons too. Like some of them build a lot of meter. Some of them splat the opponent against the wall. Some of them give a knockdown. Some of them are just like straight damage. Some of them have like interactions with character specific mechanics. Like, oh, this boosts your thing. Like this gives you this character specific buff or something like that. Or this resource, something like that. It's such a cool game with a lot of depth that's surprisingly really easy to jump into. And I would highly recommend it. There's a reason that it's been like a fighting game community darling for 10 years. It's got rollback netcode. It was one of the first games to adopt rollback netcode, so the online plays really well. There's actually people online. Like if you go on right now, you might run into people who are like pretty experienced, but I ran into people who were clearly just like brand new to the game, you know? You can still find people of all skill levels, and I think that now that it's free to play, that will open up even more. Like, this is a good time to at least check it out, and I would highly recommend Killer Instinct. Also, music by Mick Gordon. There's that. And then I guess, do I have anything else I want to talk about? Dude, my throat hurts. My throat is ran through, dude. I don't know if I really want to talk about anything else. I didn't have that much else to speak on. Remember, I wasn't really doing much besides working this week, so and I didn't see Kat because she had work. She had work too. Work sucks. I know. She left me roses by the stairs. Some roses let me know she cares. Oh, look at... Oh, my voice is so fucked up right now. Yeah, I'll be back next week. A little more rested. I actually want to... I kind of want to crank out one more video before the end of the month. That would be fun. There's like a little Christmas present that I'd like to make. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for listening. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. If you have a question, feel free to leave it down in the comments below, but please phrase it in the form of a question because I'm not just going to read your thoughts out loud. Remember, I'm doing a live stream of the Game Awards on December 7th. That's a Thursday. It's going to be on my main channel. Go check that out. Set a notification, whatever you got to do. It's going to be fun. We're going to start at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And hopefully no one rushes the stage this time. He just can't catch a break, can he? He should just have like a visible gun on him at all times. Like he should just be holding the gun. He should have the microphone in one. Jeff Keighley should have the microphone in one hand and the gun in another. Anyway, see you laters.